You stand at the edge of a vast canyon, the wind howling with doubt, the shadows whispering failure, the depths echoing every fear you've ever felt. But within you burns a fire that no wind can extinguish, a belief that no shadow can dim, a power that no depth can swallow. Relentless belief, the unshakable force that fuels your dreams and carves your path through the impossible. The world will tell you to turn back, to shrink your dreams, to let fear define you. But you were born to leap across that canyon, to harness the wind, to transform your belief into a power that reshapes the earth. Step to the edge, feel the fire, and let your relentless belief fuel the dreams that will soar beyond the stars. Picture a river cutting through that canyon, its waters fierce, its currents unyielding, its path carved through centuries of stone. Most people stand on the bank. They let doubt stop them, let fear bind them, let shadows weaken them. They think the canyon is their limit, the river their barrier, the depths their end. Their dreams fade, their fire dims, their belief crumbles. But you can cross that river. Your mindset is the bridge that steadies you, the flame that warms you, the vision that guides you. It's the foundation of your belief, the lens through which you see the canyon, the spark that ignites your power. If your mind is a storm of doubt, the river will sweep you away. If your mind is a forge of resolve, the river will yield. Most people let their mindset become a prison. They let fear define them, let doubt confine them, let shadows paralyze them. They think the canyon is their fate, the river their destiny, the depths their end. But in 1936, as Dale Carnegie wrote How to Win Friends and Influence People, he stood in a world fractured by despair, shadowed by uncertainty, and he saw the river differently. He didn't let doubt stop him. He let belief fuel him. He didn't let fear bind him. He let courage guide him. And that mindset turned his dreams into a bridge that still spans for you today, calling you to master your own fire. Your mindset is the lens through which you see the canyon, the fire through which you fuel your dreams, the ground on which you stand to leap. Right now, your thoughts are forging your belief. If your mind is a storm of hesitation, your dreams will falter. If your mind is a cage of fear, your belief will fade. But if your mind is a canyon of resolve, your dreams will soar and your power will rise. Most people quit because they let their lens cloud. They see only the depths, feel only the wind, miss only the stars. But you can choose differently. You can choose to see the fire, feel the bridge, light the way. Because that shift is the beginning of relentless belief. Let me tell you about a woman named Asha, a dreamer in a village where hope was scarce, where doubts were heavy, where belief was a whisper. Asha dreamed of building a school, of fueling dreams with belief, of stepping into a legacy of light. But her first plan crumbled, too fragile, too small, too shadowed by fear. The canyon loomed and the wind howled. Most would have quit, and many told her to. But Asha shifted her lens. She saw the crumbling plan as a lesson, the heavy doubts as a challenge, the fear as a call to rise. She didn't let shadows harden her. She let belief sharpen her. And years later, when her school stood tall, when her dreams inspired hearts, when her belief became a legacy, she stood as a dreamer, not of wishes but of will. Your mindset is not a gift you're born with. It's a canyon you carve. It's a fire you stoke. It's a river you cross. Most people quit because they let their minds grow cold. They don't stoke the fire, don't carve the path, don't face the shadows. They don't ask the hard questions, don't seek the hard truths, don't do the hard work. But you can choose differently. Right now, I want you to look at your own canyon. What doubts scar you? What fears cloud you? What shadows root you? Now shift your lens. See it not as a barrier, but as a challenge. See it not as a limit, but as a lesson. See it not as an end, but as a beginning. Because belief begins where doubt transforms. Belief is the spark that lights your fire, the courage that builds your bridge, the first leap across the canyon. But belief alone is fragile. It flickers in the wind, dims in the shadows, falters without fuel. To fuel your dreams with relentless belief, you must pair your belief with clarity. Clarity of focus, clarity of path, clarity of the dreams you're meant to chase. Most people let their belief waver. They chase every gust of wind, stumble through every shadow, fall to every depth. Without clarity, their belief becomes a flicker, their dreams a shadow, their power a whisper. With clarity, every step you take has meaning. Every flame you stoke has purpose. Every leap across the canyon has strength. Imagine a compass in that canyon. The winds howling, the shadows deepening, the stars hidden. You could chase the wind, could stumble blindly, could fall in despair. But you don't. You align the needle, set your course, steady your stride. That compass is you. The canyon is your doubt. The needle is your clarity. Most people quit when the wind howls. They chase without direction, stumble without purpose, fall without a path. But you can choose differently. You can choose to align the needle, to set the course, to light the way with clarity. Clarity begins with a piercing question. What dreams am I meant to fuel with this belief? Not what do I want to escape? Not what do I want to prove, but what am I called to achieve? For Carnegie, it was clear. He was called to connect, to inspire, to transform his own doubts into a beacon for others. He didn't stumble into that clarity. He sought it. He didn't wait for the wind to calm. He navigated through it. And that clarity turned his belief into a flame, his dreams into a bridge, his life into a legacy that still calls you to leap. Let me tell you about a man named Ravi, a farmer in a land where drought reigned, where dreams were brittle, where belief was a shadow. Ravi dreamed of growing a harvest, of fueling dreams with belief, of stepping into a legacy of abundance. But his first crop failed. No rain, no yield, no hope. Most would have quit, and many told him to. But Ravi had clarity. He knew what he was called to feed his people, to defy the drought, to leap across the canyon of despair. He dug new wells, planted new seeds, strode with purpose. He didn't have water, but he had a compass. And years later, when his fields bloomed, when his harvest fed villages, when his belief became a legacy, he stood as a farmer, not of soil, but of strength. Clarity is not a one-time revelation. It's a daily practice. Every morning, you must realign your needle. You must ask, what dreams will I fuel today? What path will I carve? What doubts will I transform? The world will try to cloud your vision. Distractions will howl like winds. Setbacks will cast shadows. Fears will test your compass. But when you're clear, you're unstoppable. You don't just stumble, you stride. You don't just flicker, you burn. You don't just dream, you soar. And here's the secret Carnegie knew. Clarity strengthens belief. When you know what you're called to, your belief carries weight. It doesn't just light the canyon, it guides the journey. It doesn't just warm the night, it fuels the dreams. Most people quit because they lack clarity. They chase every gust of wind, scatter their belief, dim their power. They don't align their needle, so they don't fuel their dreams with belief. But you can choose differently. You can choose to navigate with clarity, to believe with intent, to leap with strength. Clarity alone, however, is not enough. It's the compass, not the journey. To fuel your dreams with relentless belief, you must pair your clarity with vision. A vision so vivid, so bold, that it pulls you through the wind, lifts you over the shadows, carries you across the canyon, even when the stars feel unreachable. Vision is the ability to see the dreams before you claim them, to feel the triumph before you win it, to know the leap before you soar. It's the courage to dream beyond the doubts, to imagine a world where your belief becomes strength, where your fears become fuel. Think of an eagle soaring above the canyon, its wings wide, its eyes sharp, its flight sure. It doesn't see the shadows, but it feels the stars. It doesn't see the wind, but it knows the sky. And so it soars through the gusts, through the depths, through the impossible, because it has a vision of what lies beyond, a summit of triumph, a sky of freedom, a world of dreams. That eagle is you. The canyon is your doubt. The summit is your vision. Most people quit when the wind howls. They don't soar, don't see, don't vision. But you can choose differently. You can choose to feel the stars, to see the sky, to leap with vision. Let me tell you about a woman named Lila, a healer in a town where sickness spread, where hope was faint, where belief was a shadow. Lila dreamed of curing her people, of fueling dreams with belief, of stepping into a legacy of care. But her first patient died. Too late, too weak, too broken. Most would have quit, and many told her to. But Lila had vision. She saw villages of health, hearts of hope, a world of healing through her hands. She mixed new herbs, cared with faith, soared with purpose. And when her healing saved lives, when her care became a movement, when her belief became a legacy, she stood as an eagle, not of wings, but of warmth. Your vision is your lifeline, your summit, your triumph. Most people lack vision, or if they have it, it's too small, too faint, too easily drowned in the wind. They see a shadow, not a summit, a flicker, not a flame, a moment, not a legacy. But you can choose differently. You can choose to dream bold, to see vast, to soar beyond the canyon. What do you see when you close your eyes? A life fueled by your belief, a legacy lit by your dreams, a world changed by your leap. Make it vivid. Feel the wind, hear the river, touch the sky. Let live in you, because a vision that lives in you will never let doubt stop you. And yet, vision without purpose is a flame that flickers. It burns, it inspires, but it doesn't endure. Purpose is the fuel that feeds your vision, the steel that holds your belief, the needle that guides your clarity. Most people quit because they lack purpose. They soar without meaning, shine without cause, dream without depth. They don't ask why, don't seek reason, don't live for something greater. But purpose is the heartbeat of your journey, the fire in your flame, the reason your vision takes flight. Purpose is not something you find, it's something you choose. It's the decision to leap the canyon for more than yourself, to dedicate your stride to a cause beyond your fears, to pour your vision into a mission that matters. For Carnegie, it was a world where doubt didn't stop dreams, where connection healed fears, where belief lifted lives. He didn't stumble into that purpose. He claimed it. He didn't wait for the wind to calm. He strode through it. And that purpose turned his dreams into a legacy. Let me tell you about a man named Soren, a builder whose bricks crumbled, whose walls fell, where belief was a shadow. Soren dreamed of sheltering his community, of fueling dreams with belief, of stepping into a legacy of strength. But the storms were fierce. Nothing stood, nothing held, nothing survived. Most would have quit, and many told him to. But Soren had purpose. He knew why he was there: to protect his people, to defy the storm, to leap the canyon of loss. He mixed new mortar, laid new bricks, strode with resolve. He didn't have stability, but he had purpose. And when his walls stood tall, when his community thrived, when his belief became a legacy, he stood as a builder, not of bricks, but of hope. Your purpose doesn't need to be loud or grand. It can be quiet, personal, fierce in its simplicity. It can be the way you guide your family, the way you heal your friends, the way you create your art. But once you choose it, it will guide you. It will give you the strength to stride when the wind howls, the courage to shine when the shadows fall, the will to leap when the doubts deepen. Most people quit because they lack purpose, or if they have it, they let the wind bury it. But you can choose differently. You can choose to claim your purpose, to live your purpose, to leap with it. And purpose leads to discipline, the steady hand that tends your fire, the unyielding will that lights your flame, the daily choice that fuels your belief. Most people quit because they lack discipline. They start with a spark, but they let it die. They shine with a flame, but they let it dim. They leap with a purpose, but they don't persist. They think discipline is a burden, a chain, a sacrifice. But discipline is freedom, it's power, it's the rhythm that turns your fire into a beacon. Think of a blacksmith in that canyon, her hammer steady, her focus deep, her strike sure. Each blow is a choice, each spark a commitment, each day a step toward belief. She could rest, could dim her flame, could quit the forge. But she doesn't. She strikes day after day until the wind yields a wind of strength, a wind of power, a wind of her making. That blacksmith is you. The hammer is your discipline. The canyon is your doubt. Most people quit when the wind howls. They drop the hammer, dim the flame, let the forge fade. But you can choose differently. You can choose to keep striking, to keep lighting, to keep leaping. Discipline means showing up when the wind howls, shining when the shadows deepen, leaping when the stars hide. It's the choice to light your fire every morning, to align your compass every noon, to stoke your vision every night. Carnegie lived this. He wrote with discipline, taught with discipline, believed with discipline. He didn't let small doubts stop him. He didn't let fears dim him. He didn't let the canyon break him. And his discipline turned his belief into a legacy. Let me tell you about a woman named Nia, a dancer whose rhythm faltered, whose stage crumbled, where belief was a shadow. Nia dreamed of moving souls, of fueling dreams with belief, of stepping into a legacy of grace. But her body failed, too stiff, too weak, too broken. Most would have quit, and many told her to. But Nia had discipline. She stretched through the fear, danced through the doubt, strode with elegance. She didn't have a stage, but she had a hammer. She didn't have perfection, but she had a rhythm. And when her dance filled theaters, when her movements healed hearts, when her belief became a legacy, she stood as a blacksmith, not of steel, but of spirit. Discipline keeps you striking when the wind grows fierce. keeps you shining when the shadows grow deep, keeps you leaping when the canyon grows wide. Most people quit because they let discipline fade. They start, but they don't stay. They shine, but they don't endure. They leap, but they don't conquer. But you can choose to keep the rhythm, to hold the hammer, to step into power. And as you do, you'll find that discipline turns purpose into action, vision into reality, belief into a power that fuels the dreams that soar beyond the stars. Action is the strike of your hammer, the spark of your fire, the leap across the canyon. The moment your discipline becomes a force, your purpose becomes a flame, your vision becomes a summit. The wind doesn't yield for dreams alone. It parts for the blacksmith who strikes, the eagle who soars, the dreamer who leaps. Most people falter because they let doubt paralyze them. They align their compass, stoke their fire, see the sky, but they never strike, never spark, never leap. Their belief remains a flicker, their dreams a shadow, their power unclaimed. But you feel the weight of the hammer, the heat of the flame, the pull of the summit. That weight is your call to action, and it's the key to fueling your dreams with relentless belief, the step into a power that carves the stars. Action is not a fleeting spark. It's a lifetime of strikes. It's the choice to hammer when you'd rather rest, to spark when you'd rather dim, to leap when you'd rather wait. Most people let their hammers rust. They speak of their dreams, sketch their summits, whisper their visions, but they never act. They wait for the perfect strike, the perfect flame, the perfect wind to calm, and in that waiting, they let doubt win. They falter because action feels uncertain, effort feels heavy, movement feels risky. But Carnegie didn't wait for ease. In the 1930s, as he turned his struggles into teachings, he acted through the wind, writing through rejection, teaching through hardship, leaping through fear. He didn't have a calm canyon, but he had a hammer. He didn't have a clear sky, but he had a spark. And those actions turned his belief into a power that still burns for you today. Your actions are the strikes through the wind, the sparks through the shadows, the leaps across the canyon. Right now, every choice you make is forging your belief. Will you let the hammer rest, the flame fade, the summit elude? Will you stand still, letting doubt define you? Or will you strike with purpose, spark with courage, leap with conviction, fueling your dreams with every blow, lighting the way with every flame, stepping into power with every stride? Most people falter because they don't act. They let fear stall their hammer, let hesitation cloud their spark, let shadows shake their leap. But you can choose differently. You can choose to strike, to spark, to leap. Start now. Deliver one blow. Ignite one flame. Take one step. Because every action, no matter how small, is a leap of relentless belief. Let me tell you about a man named Cale, a sailor in a sea where storms were endless, where waves were fierce, where belief was a whisper. Cale dreamed of charting new waters, of fueling dreams with belief, of stepping into a legacy of discovery. But his first voyage failed, too weak, too rushed, too lost in the wind. The canyon roared, and the shadows loomed. Most would have quit, and many told him to. But Cale acted. He sailed with patience, struck with resolve, leaped with hope. He didn't wait for the perfect sea. He navigated with what he had. He didn't wait for the perfect wind. He charted with purpose. And when his maps guided others, when his discovery inspired, when his belief became a legacy, he stood as a sailor, not of ships, but of strength. Action breeds momentum, and momentum fuels your journey. It's the rhythm of your hammer, the pulse of your fire, the beat of your leap. Most people falter because they don't build momentum. They strike once, then stop, spark once, then fade, leap once, then stall. But you can choose to keep the rhythm, to let each action propel the next, to let each step carry you closer to your dreams. And as you act, something shifts within you, a gratitude that steadies your strike, a warmth that brightens your spark, a strength that firms your leap. Gratitude is the breeze that calms the wind, the hand that steadies your hammer, the light that guides your canyon, the quiet force that turns struggle into strength, effort into joy, action into triumph. Most people falter because they forget to look back, to see the blows they've struck, the sparks they've ignited, the steps they've leaped. They focus on the howling wind, the unlit flame, the distant summit, and they miss the beauty of the journey, the scars that prove, the flames that guide, the strides that lift. Gratitude is the warmth that thaws the doubt, the shield that blocks the fear, the light that pierces the shadows. Imagine a sculptor in that canyon, the stone unyielding, the wind relentless, the summit uncertain. She could curse the rock, lament the labor, resent the toil. But instead, she pauses to feel the breezes lift, to honor the strength of her hands, to marvel at the shapes breaking through the stone. That sculptor is you. The canyon is your doubt. The shapes are your gratitude. Most people falter when the wind howls. They see only the stone, feel only the cold, miss only the art. But you can choose differently. You can choose to feel the lift, to honor the strength, to welcome the art. Gratitude begins with a simple act. Honor what you've done. Not what you'll achieve, not where you've stumbled, but where you stand, alive with purpose, moving with clarity, leaping with vision. Carnegie lived this. He didn't just chase dreams. He cherished the process, the quiet lessons, the humble connections, the small sparks. He found gratitude in the strike, the spark, the step, and that gratitude fueled his legacy. Let me tell you about a woman named Alara, a weaver whose thread snapped, whose loom broke where belief was a shadow. Alara dreamed of crafting beauty, of fueling dreams with belief, of stepping into a legacy of art. But her first tapestry tore, too fragile, too rushed, too flawed. Most would have quit, and many told her to. But Alara chose gratitude. She thanked the broken threads for their lesson, the snapped loom for its challenge, the struggle for its growth. She didn't just weave for results, she wove for meaning. And when her tapestries adorned homes, when her art moved souls, when her belief became a legacy, she stood as a sculptor, not of stone, but of fabric. Gratitude turns every strike into a spark, every spark into a guide, every leap into a bridge. Most people falter because they don't practice gratitude. They focus on what's missing, dwell on what's hard, ignore what's gained. But you can choose to see the breeze, to feel the hand, to welcome the light. Every day, find one thing to honor, a blow struck, a flame lit, a step taken. Let that gratitude lift your spirit, steady your hammer, firm your path. Yet the canyon shifts, its depths deepen, its winds change, its shadows evolve. Adaptability is the skill that keeps your hammer swinging when the stone hardens, your fire burning when the fuel shifts, your leap steady when the path twists. Most people falter because they resist change. They cling to the old strike, fight the new wind, reject the altered summit. They see adaptability as surrender, as weakness, as loss. But adaptability is strength. It's wisdom. It's the power to bend without breaking, to shift without stopping, to believe without forcing. Picture a reed by that canyon, its stalk flexible, its roots deep, its sway enduring. The wind howls, the shadows stretch, the river surges. But the reed doesn't snap. It bends, it sways, it adapts. That reed is you. The canyon is your doubt. The sway is your adaptability. Most people falter when the wind rises. They fight the shift, stop the leap, let the journey end. But you can choose to bend, to sway, to adapt. Adaptability begins with a willingness to let go of the strike that misses, of the spark that falters, of the plan that fails. Carnegie adapted. He moved from teaching to writing, from small rooms to big stages, from doubt to belief. He didn't falter when the canyon changed. He changed with it, and his dreams kept soaring. Let me tell you about a man named Torin, a musician whose strings broke, whose notes faltered, where belief was a shadow. Torin dreamed of composing melodies that healed, of fueling dreams with belief, of stepping into a legacy of sound. But his first song failed, too off-key, too weak, too unheard. Most would have quit, and many told him to. But Torin adapted. He tuned by ear, wrote new chords, leaped with resilience. He didn't cling to the old strings. He forged the new. And when his music filled halls, when his melodies mended hearts, when his belief became a legacy, he stood as a reed, not of water, but of music. Adaptability keeps you striking when the stone shifts, keeps you sparking when the wind changes, keeps you leaping when the summit moves. Most people falter because they can't adapt. They resist the new, fear the different, reject the change. But you can choose to sway with the wind, to bend with the storm, to keep going through the shift. Every adaptation is a lesson, a strength, a step toward your dreams. Resilience is the steel in your hammer, the stone in your fire, the root of your leap, the unyielding force that stands when you bend, that burns when you falter, that holds when you soar. Most people falter because they lack resilience. They bend and break, falter and fade, leap and fall. They see bending as weakness, faltering as defeat, leaping as the end. But resilience is the art of standing, the power of enduring, the strength of rebuilding. It's not about never bending. It's about always rising tall. Think of an oak in that storm, its trunk steady, its roots firm, its branches eternal. The wind tears, the shadows loom, the canyon quakes. But the oak doesn't fall. It stands, scarred but strong, weathered but wise, eternal but alive. That oak is you. The storm is your doubt. The stand is your resilience. Most people falter when the wind rises. They crumble under pressure, fade under shadows, fall under depths. But you can choose to stand, to burn, to rise. Resilience grows with every storm you face, every falter you overcome, every leap you sustain. Carnegie faced storms, rejections, doubts, depths, yet he stood each time, teaching, writing, believing. His resilience turned his belief into a power. Let me tell you about a woman named Mara, a mother whose home burned, whose children cried, where belief was a shadow. Mara dreamed of rebuilding her family, of fueling dreams with belief, of stepping into a legacy of love. But the fire took everything: shelter, warmth, hope. Most would have quit, and many told her to. But Mara stood. She rebuilt with trembling hands, cared with weary strength, leaped with a broken heart. She didn't let the ashes define her. She let her resilience redefine her belief. And when her home rose again, when her family thrived, when her belief became a legacy, she stood as an oak, not of wood, but of spirit. Resilience keeps you striking when the wind howls, keeps you sparking when the shadows fall, keeps you leaping when the canyon shakes. Most people falter because they fear the bend, dread the falter, avoid the leap. But you can choose to stand, to shine, to hold. Every stand builds your hammer. Every spark fuels your fire. Every root deepens your path. And learning is the wind that shapes your resilience, the compass that guides your adaptability, the light that feeds your gratitude. Most people falter because they stop learning. They think they know the strike, the spark, the leap, and refuse to grow beyond it. But learning keeps you believing, keeps you shining, keeps you leaping. It's the curiosity to ask why, the humility to seek how, the wisdom to embrace what's next. Learning begins with a question. Why did the wind howl? How can I leap stronger? What dreams will my belief fuel? Carnegie learned from every setback, every critique, every challenge, turning doubts into wisdom. Let me tell you about a man named Elio, a painter whose canvas tore, whose colors faded, where belief was a shadow. Elio dreamed of creating art that inspired, of fueling dreams with belief, of stepping into a legacy of beauty. But his first painting ripped, too thin, too rushed, too flawed. Most would have quit, and many told him to. But Elio learned. He studied new techniques, mixed new hues, leaped with new vision. And when his paintings filled galleries, when his art moved souls, when his belief became a legacy, he stood as a learner, not of failure, but of strength. Learning turns every storm into a lesson, every falter into a guide, every leap into a teacher. Most people falter because they stop learning, but you can choose to ask, to grow, to know. Every question builds your purpose. Every answer fuels your flame. Every lesson lifts your belief. Connection is the hand that swings beside your hammer, the breeze that fuels your fire, the bridge that spans your canyon, the unseen force that turns your solitary strike into a shared spark, your flame into a wildfire, your belief into a movement. The wind isn't tamed alone. It's conquered through the bonds you forge, the hearts you lift, the hands you join. Most people falter because they believe in isolation. They strike their hammer alone, light their fire in solitude, leap their canyon in silence. They think connection is a distraction, a burden, a detour. But connection is strength. It's resilience. It's the spark that turns your belief into a power that echoes beyond the stars. Connection begins with a choice to listen deeply, to share openly, to stand together. It's the courage to see beyond your own doubts, to light your fire for another, to leap the canyon side by side. Most people let isolation chain their purpose. They focus on their own wind, their own flame, their own summit, and they miss the strength of the hands around them. They falter because they feel alone, because they lack support, because they carry the weight themselves. But Carnegie knew the power of connection. In the 1930s, as he wrote how to stop worrying and start living, he didn't just believe, he connected. He didn't just leap, he lifted. He didn't just endure, he united. And those connections turned his belief into a power that still calls you to soar today. Your connections are the hands that lift your hammer, the breezes that fuel your spark, the bridges that hold your canyon. Right now, every bond you build is amplifying your belief. Will you strike alone, letting doubt overwhelm you? Will you light your fire in solitude, letting your flame fade? Or will you reach out, connect deeply, and leap with a legion at your back? Most people falter because they don't connect. They let fear isolate them, let shadows divide them, let solitude bind them. But you can choose differently. You can choose to share with intention, to lift with conviction, to believe through connection. Start now. Join one hand. Ignite one spark. Cross one canyon together. Because every connection you forge is a step in a greater power. Let me tell you about a woman named Celine, a teacher in a school where hope was dim, where students drifted, where belief was a shadow. Celine dreamed of inspiring minds, of fueling dreams with belief, of stepping into a legacy of wisdom. But her first lesson failed. Too chaotic, too unheard, too flawed. The wind howled and the canyon loomed. Most would have quit, and many told her to. But Celine connected. She listened to her students' fears, shared her own struggles, leaped with a classroom of hearts. She didn't teach alone, she taught together. And when her lessons sparked growth, when her wisdom united the school, when her belief became a legacy, she stood as a teacher, not of books, but of connection. Connection fuels courage, the fire that steadies your hammer, the blaze that pierces the wind, the strength that crosses your canyon, the unyielding force that dares you to strike when the storm surges, to spark when the night darkens, to leap when the doubts deepen. Most people falter because they lack courage. They see the wind and retreat, feel the shadows and dim, face the canyon and stop. They think courage is fearlessness, a gift, a trait. But courage is a choice, a flame you ignite, a force you wield through every trembling blow, every uncertain spark, every fragile step. Courage begins with a decision, to face the wind, to light the night, to leap the summit. No matter the fear, no matter the doubt, no matter the odds. Most people let fear chain their purpose. They shrink from the storm, dim their fire, halt their stride. They falter because the wind feels too fierce, the night too vast, the canyon too deep. But Carnegie lived courage. He stood before small crowds with bold dreams, taught through rejection with steady voice, leaped through hardship with unwavering light. He didn't have fearlessness, he had courage, and that courage turned his belief into a power. Your courage is the fire in your hammer, the glow in your spark, the power in your leap. Right now, every fear you face is a chance to believe. Will you let the wind stop you, the darkness dim you, the canyon break you? Or will you strike through the fear, spark through the night, leap through the doubts, fueling your dreams with every flame, lighting the way with every blaze, stepping into power with every step? Most people falter because they don't dare. They let doubt dull their hammer, let fear cloud their spark, let shadows shake their leap. But you can choose differently. You can choose to face the storm, to light the dark, to cross the depths. Every act of courage, no matter how small, is a fire that fuels your belief. Let me tell you about a man named Gavin, a healer whose hands trembled, whose cures failed, where belief was a shadow. Gavin dreamed of mending lives, of fueling dreams with belief, of stepping into a legacy of care. But his first patient died, too late, too weak, too broken. Most would have quit, and many told him to. But Gavin had courage. He healed with trembling resolve, tried with fearless faith, leaped with defiance. He didn't have success, but he had fire. And when his cures saved lives, when his care became a light, when his belief became a legacy, he stood as a healer, not of bodies, but of courage. Courage leads to faith, the anchor that steadies your hammer, the star that guides your fire, the root that holds your canyon. The unshakable belief that your dreams matter. Your leap endures, your power will soar. Most people falter because they lack faith. They doubt their strike, dim their spark, stop their leap. They think faith is blind, a hope a wish. But faith is vision. It's trust. It's the quiet strength that keeps you striking when the wind rages, sparking when the scars deepen, leaping when the summit hides. Faith begins with a whisper in the storm. I am enough. My belief is enough. My dreams will be enough. Most people let doubt drown their faith. They question their path, dim their fire, abandon their leap. They falter because the storm feels endless. The night feels eternal. The canyon feels impossible. But Carnegie held faith. He believed in his purpose when few listened, trusted his dreams when doors closed, leaped with conviction when the world doubted. He didn't have guarantees, he had faith. And that faith turned his belief into a power. Your faith is the anchor in your storm, the star in your night, the root in your leap. Right now, every doubt you face is a chance to trust. Will you let the wind trap you, the stars fade, the canyon collapse? Or will you strike with belief, spark with trust, leap with conviction, fueling your dreams with every anchor, lighting the way with every star, stepping into power with every root? Most people falter because they don't trust. They let doubt unmoor them, let fear darken them, let uncertainty uproot them. But you can choose differently. You can choose to anchor deep, to shine bright, to stand strong. Every whisper of faith, no matter how quiet, is a strength that builds your belief. Let me tell you about a woman named Tala, a farmer whose crops failed, whose fields dried, where belief was a shadow. Tala dreamed of feeding her village, of fueling dreams with belief, of stepping into a legacy of abundance. But the drought was cruel. No rain, no growth, no hope. Most would have quit, and many told her to. But Tala had faith. She trusted her purpose, believed in her hands, leaped with hope. She didn't have rain, but she had roots. And when her fields bloomed again, when her village ate, when her belief became a legacy, she stood as a farmer, not of crops, but of faith. Faith fuels persistence, the rhythm that keeps your hammer striking, the pulse that keeps your fire burning, the beat that keeps your canyon leaping, the relentless force that strikes through the storm, sparks through the night, leaps through the depths. Most people falter because they lack persistence. They strike once, then stop, spark once, then fade, leap once, then stall. They think persistence is effort, a grind, a burden. But persistence is power. It's purpose. It's the steady beat that turns your belief into a legacy. Persistence begins with a choice to keep striking, to keep sparking, to keep leaping, no matter the storm, no matter the night, no matter the canyon. Most people let exhaustion halt their purpose. They tire of the blow, dim in the dark, stop at the summit. But Carnegie persisted. He wrote through years of doubt, taught through decades of rejection, leaped through a lifetime of wins. He didn't have ease, he had rhythm, and that persistence turned his belief into a power. Your persistence is the rhythm in your hammer, the pulse in your fire, the beat in your leap. Right now, every obstacle you face is a chance to keep going. Will you let the storm stop you, the night dim you, the canyon break you? Or will you strike through the wind, spark through the rain, leap through the depths, fueling your dreams with every beat, lighting the way with every pulse, stepping into power with every step? Most people falter because they don't persist. They let fatigue dull them, let darkness stop them, let doubt halt them. But you can choose differently. You can choose to keep the rhythm, to hold the pulse, to cross the depths. Every moment of persistence, no matter how hard, is a beat that builds your belief. Let me tell you about a man named Ryan, a runner whose legs ached, whose race ended, where belief was a shadow. Ryan dreamed of crossing finish lines, of fueling dreams with belief, of stepping into a legacy of endurance. But his first run failed, too slow, too weak, too broken. Most would have quit, and many told him to. But Ryan persisted. He ran through the ache, raced through the doubt, leaped with resolve. He didn't have speed, but he had rhythm. He didn't have victory, but he had a pulse. And when he crossed the line, when his endurance inspired, when his belief became a legacy, he stood as a runner, not of tracks, but of persistence. Persistence builds legacy, the echo of your hammer, the reach of your fire, the span of your canyon, the lasting mark of a life fueled by belief, a life stepped into power, a life that inspires beyond your storm. Most people falter because they don't see their legacy. They think it's too distant, too vast, too impossible. They strike for the moment, spark for the day, leap for the season. But legacy is the summit you soar toward, the wildfire you ignite, the bridge you leave for others to cross. Legacy begins with a vision, not of what you'll gain, but of what you'll leave. It's the choice to strike for those who follow, to spark for those who seek, to leap for those who will rise after you. Carnegie built a legacy, not of fame, but of belief, not of wealth, but of wisdom, not of moments, but of movements. He didn't live for the day, he leaped for the ages. And that legacy still calls you to believe, to step forward, to claim power from doubt. Your legacy is the echo of your strength, the reach of your light, the span of your bridge. Right now, every choice you make is building that legacy. Will you strike for the moment, spark for the day, leap for the season? Or will you strike for the ages, spark for the lost, leap for the future, leaving an echo that resounds, a light that guides, a bridge that holds? Most people falter because they don't see their legacy. They let the moment define them, let the day dim them, let the season stop them. But you can choose differently. You've stood in the storm, felt its rage, faced its lightning. You've leaped the canyon, mapped its depths, scaled its summits. You've struck with purpose, sparked with gratitude, soared with courage. And now, as the wind softens, as the shadows lift, as the summit nears, you see the truth. The power of relentless belief is not a shield to hide behind, but a fire to shape. Not a summit to conquer, but a bridge to build. Not a light to chase, but a legacy to share. The world will tempt you with doubt, will call you to surrender, will lure you to break. But you will believe with resilience, with connection, with faith. You will strike for the broken, spark for the lost, leap for the seekers. And in that choice, you'll leave a legacy, a fire that burns, a canyon that stands, a light that endures. So go now. Strike with the strength of your purpose. Spark with the warmth of your gratitude. Leap with the courage of your faith. Let your belief be a fire that shapes, a bridge that spans, a legacy that shines. Because when you harness the power of relentless belief, you don't just soar. You become the light that the world follows.